Part 87. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 880. Hearing this, Hizui asked with great interest. Will it be effective? I don't know. We didn't capture the Queen's clone, and we can't collect data, but it's better than nothing, right? Ran shrugged slightly, saying that he couldn't guarantee it, but deep down he was very confident in what the Queen had developed. The only thing that restricts its appearance is the cost of time. However, with the existence of energy matter printers, it is not difficult for the just world to make something that is small in size and not too complex in structure. The main time cost is in writing the algorithm. For this reason, Alan has two angels who can program in sacred languages are not recruited from the Angel Legion. Just when Ran and Hizui were chatting about Binghua and new equipment, AI Ian's communication request popped up. It seems that you are very free, so hurry up and help me compile the sacred language. I am too busy here, but you still have the time to sit there and chat. It can be heard from Alan's somewhat irritable words that she seems to have had a bad past 2 days, and Ran and Hizui can understand this. After all, Binghua said hello and disappeared without a trace. Alan used to be Kesha's deputy and often dealt with angels-affiliated civilizations and other civilizations, and was extremely good at dealing with complicated things. After seeing that Alan had handled things in an orderly manner, he no longer intervened in the command and dispatch of this battle, so all the burden fell on Alan. These 2 days are different from usual. The defense suggestions of the fleet of God, the dispatch of resources, the delivery application and confirmation from the gate of time and space, and the formulation of cooperative tactics between the Angel Legion and each fleet. In addition, Alan is also responsible for the manufacturing of gravitational wave traps. He is so busy that he often needs to perform multi-thread processing. Of course, he will feel a little uncomfortable when he sees Hizui and Ran trying to catch fish. Balance. But this is also a good thing. Alan's recent bad habit of using negative words to attack his colleagues has disappeared, which makes the angels who work with Alan feel that they haven't had such a peaceful working day in a long time. As for Binghua, who had left the defense line, he was now exploring the galaxies near Seminary. After turning around, Binghua discovered that the nearest planetary system was not too close to the host of Seminary. This made some of Binghua's original ideas can only be given up. However, after thinking about it carefully, Binghua felt that it was still feasible. It was just a waste of a set of star capture devices. Thinking of doing it, Binghua began to set up a space compression device and a force field around a large rocky planet. Stabilizing device. Binghua has done what needs to be done next several times, and compared to capturing stars, capturing a planet is not that difficult. It is estimated that it will take nearly 2 days. I hope that these 2 days will help the defense line. Milo will not attack. As time passes, the orbital defense platform established by the Justice World is rapidly taking shape. In less than half a month, a defense system comparable to that of the Fortress World can be completed. But Samilo is not blind. In addition to launching a supergiant ray cannon strike from time to time to refresh his sense of existence, he also mobilizes the 7 major planets in the planetary system to let them build a barrier to the just world. Sailing from the domain. This kind of defense method using stars has attracted great attention from the Supreme Tactical Planning Department of the Justice World. If Samaro is so active in mobilizing these stars, they may be equipped with extremely powerful weapons inside. Therefore, the world of justice must also be prepared to take precautions. Therefore, some members of the planning department even proposed a plan to blast these planets with planetary fragmentation bombs, but they were rejected as too stupid. For this reason, a fierce quarrel broke out within the Supreme Tactical Planning Department. As the commander-in-chief of this battle, Alan has always insisted on a defensive strategy. No matter how the commanders approached her to discuss it, it was useless, because Alan had an inexplicable intuition. It has been 5 days since Binghua left the defense line, and there is still no news from the other party. But the more this happens, the angels who understand Binghua's character will know that the other party must have found some way to break the situation, but it may take some time to verify. Therefore, Ran and Hezui did not show too much anxiety. As the commander-in-chief, Elan knew that Binghua was not an irresponsible leader, but she was worried that she could not hold the line of defense, so she kept looking forward to this uncle in her heart. Come back quickly. The Justice World does not take the initiative to launch an attack, but Samilo, who has completed production adjustments and slight modifications to the Executor class, will no longer be looking at the Justice World from a distance. On the 6th day of the truce between the two sides, the detection center of the Justice World issued a piercing alarm, and the Eternal Ascended took action. The large-scale galactic defense platforms that are gradually approaching the barrier these days also open the attack openings on their bodies. Mechanical warriors of the purification sequence emerge from them. On the transformed planet further away, purification systems rise one after another. Flagship. Soon, the space area facing the Justice World barrier defense line was covered by dense mechanical warriors and large and small Eternal Ascension battleships, and their momentum was extremely terrifying. The Supreme Tactical Planning Department, which was currently discussing how to attack, also fell silent. A member of the planning department spoke to break the dull atmosphere. Now it's not a question of whether we should attack, but how to withstand this attack by the Eternal Ascended Ones. The energy deflection barrier defense line must not be lost. As long as the defense line is lost on a large scale, we will no longer have a place to stay in the planetary system where Samilo is located. The Supreme Tactical Planning Department knows very well how difficult it is to establish a defense line of energy deflection barriers. Angels alone have paid thousands of casualties for this, let alone the protection of the goddess. Now that the goddess is gone, the captains of the various legions and fleets in the world of justice must not allow the defense line to fall, because then they will feel that their role in this war will be dispensable, and their pride will not allow this to happen. All fleets, please be aware that the first wave of the Eternal Ascension's offensive is coming soon. The energy deflection barrier will be temporarily closed. All units are ready to attack. Elan's words kept repeating in the communication. At this moment, the Eternal Ascended One had begun to attack, but both the ray gun in the purifier's hand and the purifying beam of the purifying flagship were deflected by the energy deflection shield. They all hit the void in the universe. After Elan reminded the troops of the Justice World, he ordered the energy deflection barrier to be temporarily closed. The Justice World wanted to set the battlefield in front of the energy deflection barrier, and did not want the Eternal Ascended One to rush behind the barrier and destroy the barrier nodes that were finally established. Although this will cost more casualties, the warriors of the righteous world cannot accept the destruction of the barrier they have finally established compared to the casualties. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 881. When Binghua completed his experiment and returned to the barrier defense line, his pupils shrank slightly. The orbital defense combat platform and the numerous God's fleet, which were originally neatly scattered throughout the defense facilities, had completely changed after not being seen for a few days. Most of the battleships in the God's fleet have traces of repairs, and the orbital defense combat platform is missing a large piece in several places. The mutilated and ferocious fractures silently tell the tragedy of the battle. In the space in front of the barrier defense line, there were several times more mechanical warrior wreckage than when she left, including many severely damaged battleships from the Justice World. Regarding Binghua's return, the patrolling angels were very excited and immediately told the news to Elan, the commander-in-chief of the front line. Why didn't the Eternal Ascended contact me when they launched an attack? This was the first thing Binghua said when he saw Elan, but before Elan could explain, a voice that Binghua was very familiar with interrupted. Queen, I told Elan not to disturb you. Even if Tianjian didn't remind you, it was me who told her. Binghua turned to look at the source of the sound and found that Jingnan, who was supposed to be in the world of the god's throne, had also arrived. "Why did you come here if you didn't take care of me in the god's world?" "Queen, I am your assistant. You should take me with you wherever you go. Do you want to leave me behind like you did last time in the Merlot heavenly court?" Jingnan obviously said this with a smile, but Binghua always felt that if he didn't explain it, the other person would probably cry to him immediately. Okay, I didn't mean to let you stay in the world of God this time. But it's really dangerous here. Besides, you're not a battle angel, so I didn't let you follow me. It's my fault." Binghua said helplessly as if he had given up, but Jingnan just fell for it. The smile on his originally smiling face became even brighter, and he was obviously in a good mood. However, Binghua did not give up on the previous problem. "Queen, we decided after consensus. After all, you are looking for a way to break the current impasse. The few of us here can hold on for the time being, so we won't bother you." As Binghua's left-wing successor and one of the angels who had followed her the longest, Ran knew that Binghua was not angry, but just wanted to know the reason why they did this. "What are the casualties?" Binghua asked the question she was concerned about, and her eyes were still burning. He chased and found some subtle slash marks on Elan's armor. It was obvious that they had fought fiercely before, otherwise there would not be such obvious traces of battle on their bodies. Compared to the last battle with the Eternal Ascended Ones, the casualties of our angel warriors this time are negligible, but the casualties of the God's fleet and elite legion are relatively heavy. But we successfully defended the barrier line of defense, and the Eternal Ascended One was blocked by us and could not advance even an inch. There was a hint of pride in Ran's voice. After all, in the previous encounter, their angel legion was caught off guard by Samilo's executor-class sneak attack. Not only did they suffer heavy casualties, but even the barrier nodes were destroyed. In several places. This time Samilo repeated his old tricks, using a large number of purifier mechanical warriors and fleets to feign attack to attract the attention of the Justice World's army. Secretly dispatch as many as 120 micro-modified executor-level ice flower clones to sneak attack the barrier generator. But after the last battle with these clones, the remaining high-level angels and god-level angels all have experience in fighting these clones, even if these clones are armed with high-energy purification ray guns. The only major weakness of the mechanical warriors created by Samilo is that they use the combat data of an angel from Binghua, which means that the attack patterns and defensive postures of these clones are all carved from the same mold. After the last battle, the high-level angels and god-level angels in the Angel Legion carefully studied the clone combat data they collected. How the clone Binghua will respond to any situation, and which direction it will preferentially avoid when attacked, are all recorded in the minds of these angels who have brains comparable to supercomputers. This time, Samilo thought he could break through the barrier of justice in the world in one fell swoop so that he could use the supergiant ray cannon to clear the area. However, as a surprise weapon, the Executor class did not inflict a heavy blow to the Angel Legion and destroy the barrier generator like last time. Instead, it was besieged by the angels and more than a dozen of them were destroyed. Seeing this, Samilo directly and decisively asked the Executor class to break out from the siege of the Angel Warriors. In this battle between the two sides, only a few high-level angels died due to sneak attacks by multiple clones, and the rest were only injured. Injuries ranging in severity. More than half of the destroyed clones were the result of veteran angels such as Ailan, Ran, Hizui, 11 Luo, and Ming. For ordinary god-level angels, it would take a lot of effort and a lot of time to defeat Binghua's clones. As for destroying these clones, they would need the help of their companions. High-level angels can only form a team of 5 or 5, using the god-killing combat mode to hold back these mechanical warriors who are much more mobile than them. If they want to destroy them, these clones must be stupid themselves. This was only possible when the Angel Legion had a clone of Binghua with relatively complete combat data. This shows how terrifying this mechanical warrior looks like Binghua. While the elites of the Angel Legion were fighting against the Executor class, there was also a fierce confrontation between the Angel Legion and the fleet of gods and the large force of the Eternal Ascended Ones on the frontal battlefield. After the friendly exchange of fire between the two sides, they entered into an extremely fierce close-range firefight, and the warships of both sides were surrounded by extremely terrifying numbers of powerful individual combat forces. This resulted in that as long as the shield of one of the battleships on both sides was overloaded, it would be attacked by the surrounding mechanical warriors and angel warriors. A large battleship with the size of a purification flagship often doesn't last even half a minute on the battlefield before turning into one of the many wrecks floating in the universe. But with the Angel's surprise attack and fire support, God's fleet finally gained the upper hand after paying a lot of casualties. But who knew that Samilo was extremely cold-blooded and directly launched the supergiant ray cannon when there were his own troops on the battlefield, covering part of the God's fleet, his mechanical warriors and the remaining purification flagship. This shot alone increased the casualties of the God's fleet and the Angel Legion by nearly half. After that, the command of the God's fleet and the Angel's battlefield command angel also calmed down and stopped blindly expanding the battlefield outside the barrier defense line to prevent when Samilo's bombardment arrived, he could not hide behind the re-established energy barrier in time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 882. After listening to Rand's description, Binghua also had a rough understanding of the battle between the Justice World and Samilo in the past few days since she left. Generally speaking, they have exerted their due strength. It is basically difficult for Samilo's regular troops to gain an advantage when encountering the combination of the regular army and the Angel Legion of the Justice World. They can usually win with a certain amount of casualties. As for Samilo, this was an unexpected factor. Even if Binghua was present, it might not be possible for God's fleet and the sacrificed angels to survive Samilo's attack. However, Samilo will not erase the ability of dark information data. Among the sacrificed angel warriors, except for those who were born in Merlot heaven and were resurrected, a small number of high-level angels expressed that they did not want to be awakened again and fell completely. The angel warriors of the Justice World will basically be reborn in the post-war Stellar Ring laboratory. As for the ordinary soldiers of the Justice World who died, they are completely dead because they have not received this transformation. In the world of justice, only the Super Legion, an organized force, has the means to retain their own dark information, but even if they are reborn, they will only spend the rest of their lives as ordinary people with a relatively long lifespan. For early established units such as the Elite Legion, only some later legions were equipped with data soul storage devices. 90% of the soldiers in the righteous world do not have a chance to do it again. Although this is unfair, when has this world ever been truly fair? In fact, Binghua sometimes wonders whether to ban this technology, because after this technology spreads, the consequences will be extremely serious. Now the world of justice has powerful foreign enemies such as the Eternal Ascended One and the Chaos Virus, but what happens after these two enemies are eliminated? Although the social order of the just world is extremely stable under Binghua's subtle influence and development, and the residents are not dissatisfied with their current situation, the desires of intelligent creatures cannot be provoked. The rapid development of the world of justice and the powerful technologies developed for war can transform a mortal from an ordinary person into a powerful warrior like a demigod. But as a person who has lived for tens of thousands of years and is respected as a god by mortals, Binghua is very determined in his heart. Although he has anticipated the consequences of the spread of reincarnation technology, he has not stopped using this technology. Moreover, with Binghua's wisdom, it is not difficult to predict the various problems that may erupt in the world of justice in the future, but she is not afraid. Even if the current world of justice collapses in the future, it will only take her thousands of years to build a stronger world of justice on top of the ruins. Now the main goal is to defeat Semilo and obtain Semilo's purification technology to enrich the technological reserves of the righteous world. It is better to think about solutions to these things that may only happen in the future. After all, what Binghua wants to build is a beautiful world where all civilizations can live stably. Only when technology develops powerful enough and everyone becomes like a god, will the desires of some intelligent creatures be suppressed to a minimum. Or maybe Binghua himself, as the most powerful individual, is like a true god, letting mortals live within the rules he has set. The news of Binghua's return was not concealed, which allowed the god's fleet in the justice world to recover somewhat from its low morale due to previous casualties. After a day's rest, Binghua decided to take the initiative to attack Seminary to break the current deadlock. The source of her confidence in doing so is the results she has achieved this week. This time Binghua will definitely open a gap in Seminary's galaxy-level defense system. Ran and Jingnan had no objections to Binghua's decision, while Heikawi was curious about what gave Binghua such confidence. Although Ilan was a little worried, seeing that the other angels had no objections, she did not raise any objections. The fleet of gods would not object. In their eyes, the goddess was omnipotent and invincible. Semilo, this is my gift to you. Accept it well. Binghua passed through the barrier, and behind her were the assembled gods' fleet and the angel army. They will wait for Binghua's signal. If Binghua successfully breaks through the node of galaxy-level defense, these assembled troops will launch an attack with Binghua. At the same time, the world of justice began to send expedition fleets composed of fleets from various worlds to supplement the strength of the world of justice in this star field. The Super Legion and the Demigod Legion are also among those being sent. It can be said that with the emergence of Ice Flower, the Semilo annihilation plan formulated by the justice world has begun to move forward again. What Binghua said in the wide area communication did not pay much attention to Semilo. He thought that Binghua would still break through his galaxy-level defense system alone like last time. But Binghua directly passed those galaxy-level defense platforms this time, not caring about the purification railgun bombing they launched. Like a butterfly flying through the flower path, Binghua activated his thunderous tactics, and like a flash of lightning, he shuttled freely through the barrage of purifying beams. In a short time, the ice bloom was close to the space near a giant planet, 30% of which had a metal structure. Binghua, who transformed into lightning, suddenly stopped his momentum of charging and pointed the king's sword in his hand at the planet. The next moment, dense thunder and lightning were entangled together, like a ray, rushing towards the planet. However, the thick purifying energy field that enveloped the entire planet caused Binghua's lightning impact to only create faint ripples on its surface, and made no further achievements. Binghua was not surprised when he saw this and quickly changed his position to avoid the planet's subsequent counterattack. Facing this modified planet with a thick energy field defense like a hedgehog, ordinary angels may be really helpless. But Binghua is no ordinary angel. These days, she has specially prepared some good things for these galaxy-level defense system nodes in Semilo. Binghua opened his palm equipped with Titan's grip, and as the space blurred, an extremely miniature round sphere with a fixed metal structure around it, resembling a planet, appeared in Binghua's palm. Let's see if your shield can withstand the kinetic energy generated by a celestial level impact. The moment Binghua finished speaking, the force field control of Titan's grip was activated, pushing the miniature sphere in his hand towards the transformed planet not far away. When the microplanet flew towards the modified planet driven by the force field, the metal structure that fixed and restrained the microplanet suddenly collapsed. The planet that was originally compressed by space and force fields suddenly lost its restrictions and began to expand at an extremely terrifying speed. In the blink of an eye, a giant rocky planet appeared between the ice bloom and the modified planet. This is exactly what the microplanet originally looked like. Driven by the force field of Ice Titan's grip, this suddenly appeared planet crashed into Samilo's transformed planet at an extremely alarming speed. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifen Si Wang. Chapter 883. With the force field of the ice bloom, the giant rocky planet is rapidly approaching the modified planet defense node at the outermost edge of the Samilo system-level defense system. Faced with such a situation, Samilo naturally would not watch helplessly as the supergiant ray cannon was launched. Other modified planets in the nearby space also used all their attack methods at this time to bombard the planet driven by Binghua's force field. A series of blue purifying beams spanned the starry sky and bombarded the stars pushed by the ice bloom, erupting with huge vibrations. The hard rock layer on the surface was constantly chipped away by the incoming attacks. The larger the object, the easier it is to become an enemy's target on the battlefield, but sometimes its large size means that the total amount of attacks it can withstand is countless times that of a small unit. Therefore, although the surface of the planet driven by the ice bloom is constantly being cut down by attacks from the Samilo galaxy-level defense system, there are even beams that directly penetrate the star. But the planet still continued to crash into the modified planet targeted by Binghua. As the space rippled like water, the two stars finally collided together. The purifying energy field that transformed the surface of the planet is constantly being squeezed, sinking toward the interior like a fluid, but the long-range wireless energy transmission from Samilo continues to provide energy for it. Due to such a violent impact, the structure of the planet driven by the ice bloom has been slightly deformed. As the force of the ice bloom force field increases, it will not take long for the star to completely deform and disintegrate. And by that time, the kinetic energy blow caused by the star collision will have almost dissipated. Of course, Binghua will not sit still and wait for death. He will let go of the drive of the star and cross the star he drives in front of him to a position where he can look directly at the transformed planet. Ignoring the purification ray attack that passed by him, Binghua opened his palms and faced forward. He opened his arsenal and used the most powerful destruction sword among disposable weapons. He poked his sword out of the wormhole opened in the void. The gorgeous golden sword body, with the micromimetic stars embedded in the sword grid emitting a scorching glow, was a cutting-edge weapon capable of being used in most battles, but Binghua's purpose of creating it was pure destruction. At this moment, in the space around Binghua, more than 50 destruction swords were aimed at the modified planet whose surface shield was constantly fluctuating after being hit by the driving planet. The next second, Binghua waved his open-fingered palm, and the sword of destruction, which had been coated with a layer of glow, shot out like golden crossbow arrows, rapidly shooting towards the surface of the transformed planet. A purifying energy field. Immediately, extremely dazzling orange balls of light bloomed in the purified energy field of the transformed planet, as bright as small stars. Encountering such a large-scale energy attack at the same time, the purifying energy field that transformed the planet could no longer support it. Like a domino effect, the energy field began to collapse rapidly starting from the location where the planet was hit. As a shock wave enveloping the star fragments spread out, the two stars, which had been in a stalemate for some time, finally actually collided. For a time, both the modified planets and the planets dropped by the ice bloom were washed away by the huge kinetic energy generated after the collision. But the difference between the two endings is that the planet dropped by the ice bloom is almost on the verge of disintegration, and the surface of the star is covered with dark and deep canyons and cracks. This is not the case when terraforming a planet. Apart from the denting of the impact site and the serious damage to some facilities on the surface of the star caused by the collision of celestial bodies, the star itself did not suffer much damage. But these damages were insignificant compared to the invasion of the interior by the Angel King. Binghua had already invaded the interior of the transformed planet when the purification energy field of the transformed planet collapsed. The components of the star blade of destruction surround Binghua's side, like a cutting machine, breaking through all the alloy walls, rock layers, and other structures blocking the way. What Binghua wants to do is very simple, that is, to find a purification energy field generator that can transform the planet. Binghua, who has pushed back the technology of the Eternal Ascender, is no stranger to this thing. The Eye of Insight is constantly scanning the interior of the transformed planet, searching for the location of similar structures. Behind Binghua are hanging a large number of mechanical warriors, among which the saboteurs are frantically chasing Binghua ahead. Stay out of the way. For these destroyer mechanical warriors blocking the way, Binghua waved his hand and surrounded the hundreds of blade-like star blade components of destruction that pounced on these destroyers like a self-aware swarm. In the narrow passage, these destroyer mechanical warriors faced the incoming star blade components and had no choice but to resist. However, as the star blade continued to cut, the purification energy field on their bodies was constantly being worn away. In the end, none of these destroyers could escape being cut into pieces by the dense destruction star blade components. It didn't take long for Binghua to destroy all the way to the location of the purifying energy field generator that transformed the planet. Looking at this extremely large facility, which continuously converts the received energy into purified energy and transmits it to the energy field generator to protect the entire planet from harm, Binghua felt a huge weight drop in his heart. The next second, the star blade components of destruction surrounding Binghua suddenly converged into a giant blade nearly 100 meters long, which was inserted directly into the energy transmission channel of the generator. Immediately, a huge burst of purifying energy burst out. Binghua subconsciously turned her face slightly to avoid the oncoming energy impact, and her long hair as black as ink was blown away like a Buddha. Although the energy transmission pipeline was destroyed, this does not mean that Binghua's attack is over. The star blade of destruction once again turned into scattered components and flew around to destroy the facilities here, so that the Eternal Ascended One could not repair everything here in a short time. After the ice bloom destroyed the purification energy field generator, the energy field that had just enveloped the entire planet began to dissipate rapidly. This time the dissipated energy field showed no signs of recovery. After Binghua finished all this, he rushed out of the interior of the transformed planet. The force field control of the Titan's hand armor was fully output, and he forcefully pushed the transformed planet, which was no longer protected by a shield, out of its original orbit. Seeing Binghua, the Angel King, robbing his own galaxy-level defense system nodes without any sense of martial ethics, Samilo was a little confused. However, the nodes of various defense systems and the troops within the defense platform were still dispatched to prevent Binghua's behavior. For these Eternal Ascended minions who want to stop his actions, Binghua no longer cares about his own weapons arsenal. The destructive sword, which has the most powerful destructive power and killing range in Binghua's collection, began to continuously fly out of the opened micro-wormhole, and bloomed noble flaming red lotuses among the rushing Eternal Ascended Ones. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 884. However, after the previous wave of consumption of the destruction sword, there was not much left in the reserve. After Binghua projected more than 10 swords, he stopped projecting when he saw that the troops of the Eternal Ascended One could not catch up with him for a while. In fact, after Binghua successfully broke through the defense of the transformed planet, the Justice World sent a response force to attack the combat platforms of the Samilo system-level defense line, which was regarded as sharing part of the firepower for Binghua. Samilo was unable to launch the supergiant ray cannon to clean up these armies of the world of justice for a while, because the firing range was blocked by his own combat platform. In this attack on the Eternal Ascended combat platform, the world of justice did not send an overly large fleet, but an elite assault force composed of the latest super legions sent over on assault ships and angels as the main force of the attack. For a time, Samiro's galaxy-level defense lines sprouted everywhere. If you want to destroy this small-scale elite force, you need to send a large number of mechanical warriors to successfully eliminate it. If there are less, they will be eaten by the opponent. But now Samilo's focus is on Binghua, and he has no intention of dealing with these small groups of troops setting fire everywhere. When Binghua pushed the modified planet's force field out of the core space of the galaxy-level defense system, the landing troops prepared by the Justice World immediately boarded the transport ship and headed towards the surface of the modified planet. The mission of these landing forces, composed of elite legions and some super legions, is clear, which is to eliminate the Eternal Ascended troops remaining in the currently transformed planet. Use this planetary combat object that the goddess seized from Seminary as your own chariot to attack the galaxy-level defense system, thereby breaking through the powerful firepower network and reducing your own casualties. Most of the defense systems of the modified planet had been destroyed in the celestial collision, and were later crushed by Binghua's force field. The landing troops completed the landing without encountering any decent anti-aircraft firepower. Then the heavy metal structures on the surface were exploded, and they penetrated directly into the interior, using the blasters in their hands to give the mechanical warriors hiding in the passage fierce greetings from the world of justice. It can be said that everything went extremely smoothly. Binghua almost completed all the expected goals of this operation. Now all that is left is to fight off Samaro's pursuers and bring the loot back to his own barrier defense line. Although Samilo was a little surprised that Binghua robbed his defense node, he did not lose his wits and pressed all his current troops to take it back. The number of executor class can no longer determine the outcome of this war. Samilo has already got the answer from the previous encounter. Therefore, Samilo's focus of operations has changed from the previous proactive attack. Became more defensive. In addition, a large number of purification fleets and some destroyers are already rushing towards this galaxy. By then, they will be able to form a siege on this force in the world of justice. At that time, it will only be a matter of time before the world of justice, whose military forces are in an extremely weak position, will be annihilated. Time passed in a war of attrition between the two sides. The battle for the world of justice to seize the transformed planet did not encounter too strong resistance, but even so the losses of the elite legion were still heavy. It is impossible to fight those purifier-level mechanical warriors in the narrow inner passages of the planet without making sacrifices. The fight for every square meter of space will cost the world of justice in blood, but even so, we still have to fight. It was 2 days later when the enemies inside the transformed planet were basically eliminated, and Binghua had moved the planet's force field to the other side of the barrier as early as a day ago. While annihilating the remaining mechanical warriors inside, the engineering troops of the Just World and some of the scientific research angels who followed the Legion began to transform the planet into a Just World. The first is the barrier shield that can deflect and purify energy, and the energy supply system. Originally, the amount of this project was extremely huge. But after all, this planet has the foundation for transformation by the Eternal Ascender. The two parties have been dealing with each other for so long, and the Justice World is also very familiar with the technology of the Eternal Ascender. Some energy transmission lines can be used universally after simple modifications. The space-time shield and energy deflection barrier generator are already available and can be installed directly. The most scarce energy source is not a problem. Although Binghua cannot bring out another miniature star that can provide stable energy, it is still possible to grab some of the miniature mimic stars from his collection to use as a temporary energy source. After all, the mimic star drive technology has been extremely perfected by Binghua, but there is no angel in the world of justice who can master this technology, resulting in this technology not being widely used. As for the world of justice, before those research institutes develop mature drive technology, even if they are taught microstar drive technology, they will not be able to master this technology based on the dark plane and sacred language. Queen, I have some bad news to tell you. The reconnaissance angels we sent out to inspect the surrounding star fields have received news. They discovered that a large number of purification fleets are coming towards us and are expected to enter in 5 days. Our detection range. Jingnan came to Binghua, who was observing the progress of node planet transformation, and reported a bad news. Did you come so fast? Forget it, this was originally planned. Tell the world of God to open a super large wormhole and send all our remaining troops over. After the transformation of this planet is completed, we will launch a general attack on Samilo. This time, no matter how fierce the artillery fire is, we will not be able to shake our determination to annihilate the Samilo host. Binghua made up his mind. Now it is difficult to annihilate the Samilo host in a short time just by relying on the power of the world of justice. This time, he will make an exception and personally annihilate the opponent. Sometimes tempering the world of justice also needs to depend on the situation. Now there is no time for the world of justice to slowly advance and unplug the nodes of the Samilo galaxy level defense one by one. The reinforcements of the Eternal Ascended Ones will only increase if they are dragged down. Because the battle line is not stretched, it will be easy to be surrounded by enemies from all directions, and it will be extremely difficult to maintain the front line. According to the progress of the scientific research angels and the engineering team, it will take at least 4 days to complete the basic justice world modification of the planet, leaving 1 day for inspection, just in time to launch the attack before the arrival of the Eternal Ascended reinforcements. As Binghua determined the date of the general attack, in the super-large wormhole opened by the Gate of Time and Space, the main force of the expedition fleet, the demigod army, and the air support force of the God Guards almost all arrived within 3 days. All the troops spent the rest of the day preparing for war. At the end of the 4th planetary day, each legion held a simple pre-war dinner as a final relaxation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 885. The general offensive will be launched tomorrow. I wish all the sisters a great victory on the battlefield. Jingnan picked up the wine glass in front of him and took a long sip. If you don't know how to drink, don't force yourself. Hizui leaned on the sofa and joked with a smile. The youngest person sitting here who is closer to Binghua is Jingnan. Okay, Jingnan, I'm forced to do it myself. Binghua also tried to dissuade him, because as far as she knew, Jingnan didn't drink at all. He didn't seem to like the taste of wine. He drank a lot today and was already very sincere. Jingnan obediently put down her glass and continued drinking without any show of enthusiasm. Even though alcohol could no longer affect her body, she still didn't like it if she didn't like it. I didn't expect that we would all gather together on the battlefield. It's not easy. Ai Lan held the wine glass and stared at the familiar faces surrounding Binghua such as Ming, Ran, Hizui, 11 Luo, 11 Yu, etc., and couldn't help but think of Queen Kesha, whom she once served. Ai Lan inexplicably feels that Binghua lives a happy life and has the goals she pursues. After thousands of years of separation, her former sisters and subordinates are still around her and never leave her. Queen Kesha was different. Angels of the older generation had retired when Elan was in power. When she was serving the justice world, she heard the news of Ruaning's dismissal from Binghua. And the new holy left wing turned out to be a little angel who was less than 7,000 years old. All these circumstances showed that Queen Kesha no longer had a confidant who could entrust everything to her. Comparing the scene around Binghua, Queen Kesha, who often sits on the throne and thinks about the future of justice and order, and who tasks angels with judging the sins of the world, seems a little too lonely. It is indeed not easy. You are usually too busy to see anyone. I have been in the justice world for several years. If it weren't for this war, I feel that I would have to wait until the end of the Great Crusade to see all of you. Hizui, who was closest to Elan, heard Elan sigh and started talking, and moved his eyes slightly to fall on Elan's face. Why don't you go over there? Faced with Hizui's sudden question, Elan's expression froze slightly, but returned to normal in an instant. No, I'll just watch. That's fine too. TCH, I guess you must be thinking about your Queen Kesha, but Queen Kesha is good at everything, but except for a few angels like you who can see the other side of her king, we are just warriors under her command. Hizui said something like this, and Elan couldn't refute it. In fact, Kesha actually cared about Hizui, the backbone of Merlot heaven, but her long career as king seemed to have made her forget how to deal with these people. Angels bring people closer. Queen Kesha can no longer care for every angel around her like a gentle elder sister like she did when she was at Merlot Academy. What's more, she is respected by everyone as a wise king of angels, but only angels like Alan who have been by Kesha's side know that Queen Kesha has always been the gentle eldest sister, but the gains and losses of civilization have severely crushed this gentleness. While Binghua was chatting with the angels around him, he also did not forget to nod to the nearby commander of the world of justice and the world leaders who led their elite legions here. Even if they are ordinary soldiers who are responsible for serving drinks, Binghua will politely say thank you to them, completely without the condescension of the goddess of justice in the world. On the periphery of the reception, there were many warriors who were curious about the goddess's true appearance. They lay on the platform on the second floor and stared at the beautiful figure below who was the center of attention. They were all the lucky ones who had qualified to enter the reception venue. You can see the majesty of the goddess up close, which makes many people cry to death with envy. I found that not only goddesses, but also angels are beautiful. If I can marry an angel, I will really have no regrets in my life. A Super Legion soldier looked at it for a while and said this, which immediately attracted nods of approval from the surrounding companions. But unfortunately, these angels seemed to dislike men approaching them. TCH, your information is out of date. A friend of mine who works in the world of angels told me that a war between male and female angels once broke out in the angel civilization. The female angel did not hate men, but was hurt by the male angel, so she began to refuse to get along with men. Hearing this, many soldiers present looked at him with interest, hoping that this well-informed colleague would reveal more information. Let me tell you an inside message. There are many angels living in Zintian City near the God's throne world. Although the angels there are not as powerful as those below, they do not refuse contact with men, but their requirements for partners are a bit high, and there are also many female angels living alone who have settled there. This man enjoyed the attention of his colleagues and generously shared some of the things he knew. But one thing he didn't say was that most female angels can borrow a technology that only they know how to read a person's dark information and know some information about the person's past. Those who are proficient can even read part of it. Thought. Therefore, it is not difficult to find an angel as a partner, but it is not that no one has succeeded. He knew that there was a Super Legion warrior who had an unclear relationship with a high-level angel. But what they relied on was their unswerving faith and the discernment of the female angel whom they had only gotten along with for a long time on the battlefield. For someone like me, it would be better to find an ordinary woman to get married and have children after retiring. The reception did not last long, because in the remaining time, the combat personnel of each unit needed to have a good rest and face tomorrow's war in the best condition. Samailo was also keenly aware of the frequent mobilization behind the barrier defense line of the Justice World. In the past 2 days, he has been using space delivery capabilities to deliver a large number of fleets, as well as countless Legion landing ships and assault ships. Samailo therefore deliberately adjusted the positions of each node of his galaxy-level defense line, and at the same time concentrated the defense platforms to build a solid defense line together with the nodes. Secretly, Samailo also dispersed some of his executor-class units. The prototype 101 under maintenance was also reawakened, and the celestial civilization suppression weapons were brought back online. At the same time, the reinforcements of the Eternal Ascended Ones are about to arrive. By then, under attack from both sides, the Just World's chance of winning will be less than 20%. Moreover, after this battle, Samilo has decided to immediately launch a second round of purification operations against the world of justice, without giving the opponent time to recuperate. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 886. More than 10 hours have passed since the end of the pre-war cocktail party. Each combat unit has already had sufficient rest. The fatigue caused by consecutive days of fighting has been fully recovered. It can be said that they have reached their best condition. The transformed planet captured by Binghua was officially named the Goddess of Victory. The Supreme Tactical Planning Department obviously had high hopes for it, and all the troops in this general attack on the world of justice will also be centered around the Goddess of Victory. Binghua stood in his room and stared through the floor-to-ceiling portholes at the transformed star that he had dragged back. It was slowly flying towards the barrier defense line under its own planet-level propulsion engine. At the same time, giant warships kept passing by the porthole where Binghua was standing, and were driven by the tail engine to gather in the direction of the Goddess of Victory. For a time, this originally vast space became a bit crowded. "Stand up." Binghua fixed the arm guards of the Angel King's armor on her wrists and finally finished dressing the entire armor. It was the first time in a long time to experience the feeling of wearing the armor with her own hands. Compared to some of the armors and special armors developed after coming to the Justice World, Binghua still likes this Angel King armor the most. Even after more than 10,000 years, time has not been able to change it. What marks were left on the armor? The Queen's various troops have been assembled, the angel legions have been in place on the Goddess of Victory, and the expedition fleet to stop the Eternal Ascended One has also set off. Elan was also wearing a military uniform, holding the Sword of Judgment in his hand, ready to fight at any time. Behind Elan are Ran, Haikawi, and other outstanding angels. They will be the vanguard in the subsequent battles, serving as the sharpest spearheads and tearing open Samaro's defense line. Binghua is naturally a member of the spearhead, and it is also the sharpest spearhead. This battle is very important. I hope all sisters will not slack off and protect yourselves on the battlefield. Binghua did not give a lengthy pre-battle speech to boost morale, because there was no need for it. The two sides were mortal enemies that could not be resolved. There was no need to stir up emotions, because the emotions of the soldiers were already high. When the Justice World was dispatching troops, Samilo also discovered Binghua's offensive intentions and quickly deployed his mechanical warrior troops and purification fleet before the battle began. Seeing that his actions had been seen through, Binghua decided not to hide it, and led all the god-level angels to the front of the Goddess of Victory. His right hand, which was rarely equipped with the Titan's hand armor, opened, and a miniature space crack appeared. The next moment, the god-level angels near Binghua felt a feeling of heart palpitations. At the same time, they also found that their vision was blurred for a moment. This phenomenon surprised them. However, after seeing Binghua using his right hand equipped with Titan's grip to guide a large sword that was silver-gray without any reflection from the rift in space, some angels finally confirmed that they were affected by the energy emitted by this weapon. The field interferes with the senses. Ran, who was relatively close to Binghua, felt it the most strongly. The simple-looking sword with no carvings in the Queen's hand must be the neutron blade that the Queen once said. Even though he was more than 10 meters away, Ran could feel that everything around him seemed to be being sucked towards the direction of the weapon. Binghua began to make some subtle adjustments to the neutron war blade in his hand, mainly regarding the strike range, because if this war blade is really allowed to release its full power, Binghua aside, the world of justice will be destroyed. There will definitely be few ordinary soldiers affected. It didn't take long for Binghua to complete the debugging of the neutron blade. At this time, the Goddess of Victory had just passed through the barrier defense line, and then several layers of space-time shields enveloped its entire star. The fleet behind them followed densely and sailed behind the Goddess of Victory, using it as a bunker. Seeing that the troops of Justice World finally came out of the energy deflection barrier, Semiolo unceremoniously sent a supergiant ray as a greeting gift. A raging torrent of purifying energy swept forward. For a moment, all the detection equipment of the Justice World fleet failed, and there was a blue ocean of energy outside the bridge. The space-time shield of the Victory Goddess star began to shatter and disintegrate, but the next layer immediately took over its position. Relying on the cyclic work of several super-large space-time shield generators, the Victory Goddess star successfully withstood Semilo's devastating force. Hit. But this is just the beginning. There is still a long distance to cross before entering Semiro's galaxy-level defense line. Semiolo did not let his army of mechanical warriors and purification fleets leave the galaxy-level defense line to stop the advancement of the world of justice, but the modified planets and large defense platforms at the defense nodes did not hesitate to fire their artillery fire at the Goddess of Justice. Indiscriminate bombing. Faced with such intensive bombing, the space-time shield system continued to cycle through overload and recovery. At first, it was better when it was still some space away from Semilo's defense line. But as the distance between the two sides narrowed, the Goddess of Justice could no longer withstand such intensive bombing. After all, Semilo had several modified planets and a large number of defense platforms. Queen, there is news from the Goddess of Victory that the space-time shield system can't support it for much longer. If the enemy's firepower is not weakened, the recovery of the space-time shield will soon be unable to keep up. Rand said to Binghua on the side, his expression also a little solemn. On the contrary, Binghua's face was very calm. After hearing this, he first looked around at the angels who were looking at him. Then a confident smile appeared on Binghua's face, and he raised the neutron blade in his hand. Nian once again said loudly on the battlefield. Soldiers of the Angel Legion, charge with me. Crush Semiolo to pieces. When they heard the familiar declaration of attack from the Queen's mouth, some of the older generation of angel warriors who had served in the Heavenly Sword Legion felt that their long-dormant blood seemed to boil, as if they had returned to the time when millions of angel armies came together. The war years of attacking stars and conquering cities. Binghua rushed out first after giving the order, and the god-level angels behind him followed suit, crossing the Victory Goddess star that was slowly advancing in front. Of course, the slowness is only relative to the angel's normal flight speed. The speed of the Victory Goddess star is already fast compared to its huge size. As soon as they escaped from the star obstruction in front of them, Binghua and his group of angels became the focus of the Semiolo galaxy-level defense system. For a time, densely packed purifying energy rays formed an overwhelming barrage. Seeing this, Binghua suddenly stopped and thrust forward the neutron blade in his hand. A translucent wave exuding a faint dark luster spread forward, enveloping most of the incoming purification rays. Then I saw Binghua gently pulling the neutron blade in his hand to one side. The forms of the purification ray energy covered by the previous fluctuations were directly distorted, as if they were grabbed and pushed aside by invisible hands. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 887. As one of the products at the end of stellar evolution, neutron stars are more dangerous than stars before they decay. The gravitational strength of their surface far exceeds that of stars, and can even reach more than half the escape velocity of light. This means that even when light passes around a neutron star, it will be affected by its huge gravitational waves, resulting in a huge bending effect. At this moment, the gravitational wave used by Binghua to bend the purification rays is the permanent residence of the neutron war blade itself. One of the abilities is gravitational wave capture. The neutron warblade made by Binghua does not essentially transform the neutron star into a weapon, but uses special means to limit the power of the neutron star itself, and the attack only applies part of its characteristics to the target space. Under Binghua's unreasonable gravitational wave capture, the firepower of the galaxy-level defense system became a complete joke. It was also the first time for Seminary to see Binghua using the neutron blade. He kept making calculations, but for a while he couldn't find any way to resist. In fact, the intensity of the neutron star itself is too much higher than that of a superclass. Ordinary civilizations cannot even get close to it, let alone use it as a weapon. The extremely terrifying mass is like a space collapse generator, and even a planet is not close to it. They will all be crushed to pieces. Semiro's research on neutron stars is only based on the use of strong pulse waves emitted by neutron stars, and is far from being able to utilize its own characteristics. Of course, Binghua didn't know what Seminary was thinking at this moment. She just felt refreshed. The neutron blade in her hand kept catching the attacks from the Eternal Ascended Ones and threw them aside. It's a pity that neutron stars are not black holes and can capture even light. In this way, you can directly capture the enemy's energy ray attacks and treat them in kind. Rather than like now, it can only be captured for a short period of time and guided to an empty place where there are no own combatants. The angels following Binghua thought that in this assault, which was a sharp knife on the battlefield, they would face intensive artillery fire from the enemy. However, when the Queen stepped in front, these angels discovered that this assault would be so easy. Relying on Binghua's weapon advantage, the god-level angels who were sharp knives easily rushed to the vicinity of the galaxy-level defense line. The flames of judgment, which represented the powerful destructive power of the angels, frequently flashed in the starry sky. The fiery flame sword lights were like light blades dividing the starry sky, constantly falling on those defense platforms. Although there is no essential difference between the flame bombardment used by god-level angels and that released by ordinary angel warriors, the scope and duration are completely different. Those defense platform fortresses with a volume of more than 10 kilometers long could not last long under the repeated bombings, and they were all devoured by the explosions and completely paralyzed. Binghua's charge at the front was the most fruitful. She didn't need to release any energy strikes at all. She only needed to get close to the metal fortresses that were firing at her, and slashed lightly with the neutron blade in her hand. The seemingly indestructible purification energy field is easily torn apart under the huge gravitational pull of the neutron blade, and is then destroyed by other angels that follow. With Binghua's group of sharp knives that could not be eliminated immediately inserted into the defense line, the bombing firepower of the Eternal Ascended Ones was reduced by several levels for a while. The operators of the justice world inside the Goddess of Victory took the opportunity to increase the power of the planetary propulsion engine to the maximum, allowing the speed of the already slow star to reach a higher level. Binghua had an extremely powerful weapon, the neutron blade, to clear the way. Almost nothing could survive 2 rounds in front of her, but there was only one person as strong as her in the entire raiding angel army. After dozens of Semilo's defense platforms were destroyed by their group of god-level angels, there was still a large area left, and their number did not seem to have been reduced much. And a large number of mechanical warriors began to surround the lone army headed by Binghua. However, facing the angel sharp knife army, all of which were god-level angels, the only thing these mechanical warriors could do was to consume the energy of the angels. Binghua has a miniature star that acts as an energy source, so she doesn't have to worry about energy, but because Seminary has occupied the stars in this planetary system, her other god-level angels have always used cosmic rays from outside the planetary system and physical light energy maintenance consumption. Without frequent use of large-scale energy strikes, it can fully maintain the normal combat needs, but the energy of a cosmic domain is limited. Now that so many god-level angels mobilize the energy of this cosmic domain, it will soon be some angels find it difficult to mobilize energy. Faced with such a situation, the angels can only use the dark energy converted by the genetic engine to fight. However, although the dark energy is powerful, its transformation takes time. Therefore, the angel warriors have to slow down the frequency of using flame bombings and sky blade judgments. Binghua naturally discovered the situation, but there was no solution for a while. She did not have a reserve of artificial stars in her arsenal, otherwise she could use them as an energy source for the angels. Because they were concerned about energy consumption, Ran and Hezui had to give up long-range bombing and began to engage in hand-to-hand combat with the rushing mechanical warriors. Seeing this situation, Binghua couldn't help but have an idea in his mind, that is, in the future upgrades of the Flaming Sword and Fan Shenjian, it would be best to add a mimic star as an energy source in the weapon engine, so that this can be prevented. The situation arises again. Binghua originally wanted to lead the god-level angels to attack the modified planet that was a node in the Seminary defense system and fundamentally solve the problem, but now she gave up this idea because they were held back. It is not difficult for the more powerful ones like Binghua, Ran, and Hezui to break out, but those ordinary god-level angels are likely to be held back by the saboteurs, unable to keep up with the large army, and eventually be surrounded and killed. Binghua played a role that no other angel could replace at this moment, because she blocked almost all the purification ray cannons that came at her. Queen, the situation is critical now. We are trapped here. It will take some time for the large forces of the justice world to arrive. If this continues, we won't be able to open up the situation as planned, so the Queen will have to destroy those nodes alone. It's up to us to hold you back. Ran was fighting several saboteurs who were pestering her, and at the same time, she was persuading Binghua to leave them alone and just do her own thing through the communication. Of course Binghua could see the current situation. The reason why she did not leave was partly because she needed to intercept those powerful purification ray cannons. On the other hand, it was because until now, Binghua had not seen the shadow of her clone on the battlefield. To be honest, it was precisely because of this that she had not made a decision. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 888. Binghua was worried that after he left, Samaelo would immediately mobilize a large number of executors, which were copies of himself, to encircle and suppress these god-level angel warriors who were trapped in a tight siege. This is very likely to happen. Binghua doesn't want to be tricked by Samaelo because of this. Moreover, maintaining the current level and waiting for the victory goddess star to advance is a safer strategy. Binghua was calculating the benefits and losses of the two tactics, and did not make an immediate decision because of Ran's words. But Binghua didn't make a decision, it didn't mean that the highest tactical planning department on the Goddess of Victory didn't make a decision. Compared with Binghua, who is on the battlefield and pays more attention to the loss of soldiers under his command until the situation deteriorates to a certain extent, the Supreme Tactical Planning Department pays more attention to the overall combat plan and the tactical goals themselves. Therefore, after discovering that the Sharp Knife troops led by the goddess were surrounded by Eternal Ascended Ones, they decisively arranged support troops for reinforcements. The god's fleet, which was originally hiding behind the Goddess of Victory, quickly left the safe zone on the back of the planet. Without any regard for the possible incoming purification ray cannon, it began to prepare for a short-distance jump, intending to risk breaking into the battlefield to share the pressure with the goddesses. Binghua naturally noticed this situation, but did not stop it, because this was also one of the ways to break the status quo, but doing so would put the god's fleet at great risk. After the battle, the god's fleet suffered heavy losses. It is the inevitable outcome. As the blue energy stream flashed, the god's fleet battleship that entered the warp suddenly disappeared from its place. The next moment, in a relatively open space not far from Binghua and the others, blue energy light suddenly appeared, and then suddenly exploded in the form of particles, revealing the huge battleship wrapped inside it. In just the blink of an eye, nearly 100 large and small battleships appeared in the originally empty space, most of which were relatively large destruction-class and destruction-class ships. As soon as they arrived at the battlefield, the gods' fleet opened fire and bombarded Binghua and their flank enemies wildly. Under this fierce bombing, a large number of mechanical warriors could not escape with their own maneuverability and could only sweep in. It turned into scattered fragments in the impact and flames. Seeing this, Binghua also issued an order in the communication in a timely manner. Meet with the fleet of gods and help them clean up the mechanical warriors around them. Nowadays, only a united force can sustain it for a longer period of time. Otherwise, the fleet of God without angel protection would be surrounded by a large number of mechanical warriors, and it would not take much time for the Eternal Ascended to be completely destroyed. The fleet of gods did not seem to stop jumping just because the pressure on the God-level angels had been relieved. It seemed that the Supreme Tactical Planning Department had adjusted the battle plan. It is planned to take advantage of the firepower of the fleet and cooperate with the God-level angels to destroy these combat platform fortresses first, so as to clear the obstacles for the subsequent approach of the Goddess of Victory. The Supreme Tactical Planning Department then transmitted the adjusted combat plan to Binghua, which was not much different from what she had guessed. Under the fire interception and bombardment of the God's fleet, the forces of the Eternal Ascended Ones gathered together unconsciously. Seeing this, Binghua temporarily put away the neutron blade to intercept the gravitational waves of the purification ray cannon, then raised the sword and dazzling blue light burst out on the neutron blade. The next second, as Binghua slashed the neutron war blade forward, a blue pulse energy wave compressed by the force field swept forward like a horizontal straight line and vertical line, passing through eternity in the blink of an eye. The army of the Ascended. Like a strip of light that splits the starry sky in half, it directly divides the area where Samilo's galaxy-level defense system is located into two areas. These pulse energy waves did not destroy any mechanical warriors, but those directly hit by the pulse energy waves stopped moving and floated quietly like corpses. Binghua sighed a little dissatisfied. The neutron blade was very powerful, but it was not without its shortcomings. That was the lack of ultra-long-distance strike means, unless Binghua threw it as a disposable weapon to unlock the restriction. Pulse energy waves are the only long-range attack method that the neutron blade has besides gravitational waves, but they are only effective against mechanical and electronic structures and have limited damage to the third generation of war gods. But its other attached ability, gravitational waves, can even capture the presence of light at close range to a certain extent, which is very biased towards close combat. If combined with the mass and density of the neutron glaive itself, almost all existing materials would be easily crushed by it. If Binghua dissipates the force field on the neutron war blade one day and discards it on a planet, the planet will soon collapse and disintegrate under the weight of the weapon. The destructive power of this weapon is so amazing that even under the crushing force of its local gravity and density, even the fourth-generation divine body studied by He 11, the sacred atom, cannot escape the capture range of the neutron blade. Contrary to Binghua's thoughts, Samilo was extremely wary of the energy pulse storm just now, because it could directly ignore the protective armor of the purifier sequence mechanical warriors and damage some of its more fragile internal structures. Even the purification energy field on the destroyer was overloaded for a long time due to the pulse energy impact just now, and the large defense platform on the path was no exception. After Binghua helped the fleet of gods that had jumped over to gain a foothold, they finally decided to destroy those nodes to transform the planets according to the original battle plan. Alan, Ran, I'll leave this to you. Protect the gods' fleet, and I'll go over and destroy those planets. After saying that, blue thunder and lightning appeared around Binghua, and he turned on the blessing mode of the thunder algorithm for the first time in a long time. A forward charge turned into a forward lasing of lightning. Ailan and Ran looked at each other and began to communicate over the communication about the defense issues of the gods' fleet. Hizui used his old skills and kept charging back and forth among the army of mechanical warriors. Tsurui's combat mode is actually quite suitable for fighting this kind of attrition war, because the blade-breaking algorithm she is proficient in basically does not rely much on external energy. The dark energy converted by her own genetic engine can sustain her combat needs. After breaking out of the defensive circle built by the fleet of gods and god-level angels on the other side, Binghua continued to avoid the purification ray cannons fired at her. The lightning she transformed into was extremely agile, easily passing through the criss-crossing light-speed barrages. Pass. This is why Binghua has never been afraid of being surrounded by eternal ascendants. An angel of Binghua's level can fly faster in the universe than a small space fighter plane known for its speed. Ordinary enemies cannot catch up with her at all. Semilo's galaxy-level defense system node could only watch Binghua approaching him, unable to escape even if he wanted to. Semilo, who was always paying attention to the battlefield on the other side, immediately used the Executor class after confirming that Binghua had left the range of the God's fleet in the Justice world. Binghua's clone appeared on the battlefield again. Although Ilan and Ran and other angels expected it, it still caught them off guard. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 889. Binghua came to the vicinity of a modified planet and turned slightly sideways to avoid several small purification beams coming from the right wing. But the next moment more purification rays hit, covering almost all the space in front of Binghua, leaving no room for her to dodge. If ordinary angel warriors faced such a dense fire bombardment, they would only be driven back to gain space for maneuver and avoidance. But Binghua dared to come alone, so he was naturally not afraid of these scattered bombings. On the neutron blade's force field covered blade, the force field fluctuated slightly, and the super-strong gravitational waves that had been neutralized by the force field and space swept forward, distorting all the incoming purification rays. Then Binghua twisted the wrist holding the neutron war blade, and the captured purification rays changed direction and headed towards another transformed planet. Such a scene immediately made Seminary know that it was difficult to cause trouble to Binghua with just a simple energy attack. The stellar factory where Semilo's body is located immediately began to adjust part of the production line. The design drawing of a physical kinetic energy weapon that utilizes purified energy was quickly released through countless calculation simulations, and the stellar factory quickly began production. All of this took place during the war between Semilo and the world of justice. It can be said that Semilo focused most of his attention on Hyuka. After intercepting the incoming purification ray, Binghua set his sights on the nearby transformed planet. Regarding the purifying energy field shining with a light blue halo, Binghua just raised the neutron blade in his hand, and the pair of angel wings on his back suddenly accelerated the instigation frequency, and the pusher Binghua's body quickly leaned towards it. At the same time, inside the purifying energy field that transformed the planet, densely packed mechanical warriors were waiting. In response to this, Binghua just glanced at them with disdain and paid no more attention to them. The weapon in her hand simply slashed at the purification energy field blocking her front. In an instant, centered on the neutron blade in Binghua's hand, the purifying energy was absorbed crazily by the neutron blade. At the same time, Binghua unlocked part of the mass of the weapon in his hand. For a moment, the extremely terrifying pulling force sucked all the surrounding materials, including the purification energy that was shot, towards the blade of the neutron war blade. The Titan's hand armor in Binghua's hand, driven by a formula imported in advance, creates a space confinement force field close to Binghua's body surface, so that Binghua, as the holder of the weapon, is not affected by this pulling force. Impact. But Binghua is also unable to move in this state, otherwise he will be affected by his own weapon, the neutron blade. This is also the reason why Binghua developed some cutting-edge weapons and did not give them to others, because if you want to control these weapons, without a long period of learning and familiarity, you will get involved in them if you are not careful. Binghua was not affected, but the nearby modified planet suffered. The purification energy field was unable to keep up with the gravitational capture speed of the neutron blade for less than a minute. A large piece of the purification energy field in the direction of Binghua was missing. Without this protective layer, the extremely strong gravitational waves released by the neutron blade began to act on the surface of the star, and the Earth was pulled and floated into the sky contrary to common sense. The mechanical warriors who originally blocked Binghua now found that the attacks they launched were directly distorted and turned into scattered particles flying towards the neutron blade at the source of gravity. What makes the self-discipline core of the mechanical warriors feel even more dangerous is that no matter how they increase the power of the flying wings behind them, they cannot escape the capture range of this gravity. Binghua saw that the objects being pulled were very close to him, so he let go of the neutron blade and let it float forward. After the neutron blade broke away from the ice flower, the blade began to expand. The outer sword-shaped shell was instantly filled with cracks, and it quickly turned into a very standard sphere and moved away from the ice flower. I saw dazzling blue light flowing in the gaps on the surface of the sphere, and the next moment a circle of gravitational waves with a faint dark luster spread out around it. It itself also rapidly expanded from the original size of a human head to a diameter of about 1 meter. Then the already extremely powerful gravitational waves suddenly increased several levels again. The modified planet, which was already severely affected by gravity, actually started to move towards the sphere. The cosmic region where Binghua is located is most affected by this gravitational wave. The fleet of God of Justice and the angels in another cosmic region also feel the pull of this gravitational force, but the intensity is limited. That guy Binghua couldn't really have released a neutron star. He pierced the chest of an approaching saboteur with a sword, and then immediately turned around to hold the heavy sword struck by Binghua's clone. He took the time to glance at the distance with his peripheral vision as he was slowly being pulled towards Binghua due to the gravitational waves. Defense platforms in the direction as well as terraforming planets. No, judging from the strength of this gravity, the situation should be under the control of the Queen, otherwise we would have been pulled over long ago. Ran said in the communication that as Binghua's former guard, Ran had also done research, and of course he knew some data and characteristics about neutron stars. Ran is right. If that thing is really out of control, if we are so close, we will be captured by gravity and pulled directly over. Ai Lan did not forget to express her opinion, but soon they no longer paid attention to the situation on Binghua's side because more Binghua clones came to them. Binghua is currently located 1,000 meters away from the sphere transformed by the neutron blade that is pulling everything around it wildly. The surrounding space has been disconnected from the real space. This is another use of space confinement. It can isolate the interference of almost all conventional matter and rules in the main universe. Of course, facing masters who are proficient in space, this is no different from locking yourself in a cage. I still can't control the range accurately, so I'd better be more cautious when using it in the future. Binghua thought this in her heart as she watched the neutron blade crush the mechanical warriors and star fragments that were approaching her into slag, and then stretched them into atomic streams. This is the liberated state of the neutron blade, and it is also the real use of this weapon. It uses super strong gravity to capture the material around itself, and then uses the gravity that can crush all materials into atomic neutrons to crush all enemies, even 3 generations. God will also become a part of it if he does not escape its grasp in time. The only thing that dissatisfied Binghua was that she couldn't interfere with the neutron blade in this state. She could only let it destroy everything around it according to the set method, which made Binghua feel out of control. If the cold ice of the known universe appears nearby at this moment and remotely interferes with the space cage built by Binghua, Binghua will be directly crushed into an atomic flow by his own weapons, just like those mechanical warriors.